Taoist Magic Talk Show brought to you by Taoist Master Ji Sifu and King Dragon Taoism. ผู้亮天尊 Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is your Evil right here talking with you again. And so today, our topic is very interesting because a lot of people do not have this like concept. So they always have like some kind of confusion or doubt or kind of skeptic about religion in general. No matter what religion it is, like the stuff that I'm going to talk about today, it applies to any religion, no matter which one, no matter it's ancient or new or whatever. Okay, it doesn't matter. Any kind of religion, including the one here, Taoism, is basically going by the same kind of thing, just in different form. And it's like you buy a phone, right, from, let's say, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Samsung. They are all phones. They're just like different companies producing phones. Different religions have different gods and powers and system, but they're all religion, right? So no matter which religion you're in, this talk show today, this episode will teach you something that will be very useful for you. Okay, so if you're like, oh, I don't believe in any religion, then get the hell out of here. Okay, anyways, I was just joking. But you could make use of today's lesson and actually understand what it is all about and what was wrong that was always in your head and you have been like thinking the wrong way. So the question is, did God answer me? Like, oh, my prayer has never been answered, right? A lot of people were saying or kind of like complaining about that and say, oh, prayer is useless. Like I prayed for this so many times, so many years, and it didn't come true and it was not answered. And then some people were like, oh, well, you like talk to God, but no one talked back to you. So like, how do you know God exists? And that kind of thing, right? So newbie always have questions like that, and because you don't know what it is about, and they don't like, no one actually have a good lesson that actually, give you all the knowledge right here that explains what this kind of thing is about to you, right? So you're lacking knowledge and you're kind of getting confused because you think that God is like, you talk to the God. Okay, for example, you burn incense, right? Like Buddhists, like Taoists, you burn incense and you talk to the God. You hold the incense and you talk, right? So while you talk to the God, you kind of like might have the thought that if God answered you, you could hear something. And this is one of the deadliest thing that could happen. Okay, wait, pay attention. I have like clients or patients, okay, like people who have issue, who come to me and have this issue. They are like, oh, I was praying to whatever God at the altar, and then I heard, when I hear this, it's like ding, 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 ding. Like red light signal. When you hear someone like, I hear this, you know why? Because first of all, you're not like a professional who cultivated, for quite a while and such, and you're just like a normal believer, right? There's no way for you to hear anything. If you hear anything, no matter it's like you hear a person knock your door, that kind of hearing, like it's outside, or you heard something inside, like someone speaking to you, or like there's a voice inside yourself talking, right? If you have that kind of thing going on while you're like talking to the God, that is like, only two things can happen. One is you're talking to yourself. So it's kind of like a self convince or self talk. Okay, so it's not the God, it's just yourself trying to, fool yourself. Okay, but sometimes it happens. Okay, it could be yourself, and it could also be you're being attacked by evil spirits. And evil spirits love doing these kind of things, and they can actually lead you to have a lot of illusions, no matter visuals or audio types. Like you could be actually seeing things in the midair and believe that is whatever, right? You could also have like a flash visual insight, like when you close your eyes, you see something and you believe that is like a message from the whatever God you're praying to, and that is actually the work of art from the evil spirit that is trying to trick you. So beware, right? God don't talk to you like this. Okay, now before we get into talking about how God actually communicate with human being, we got to understand a little bit about communication, right? How does your dog or cat talk to you? Meow, right? But you don't understand, right? The cat go like meow, meow, and you don't understand what the cat is saying, right? But the cat somehow don't understand what you're saying as well. You tell the cat, "Oh, what do you like? Let me know what do you like." And you put like, there's a fish, there's like a pork chop, and then there's like steak, oyster right in front of the cat, and you're like, point to me, which one you like? And then the cat goes, meow. You're like, so which one do you like? Meow. So which one, right? You don't know. So eventually you got to find a way to talk to your pet, right? So how to talk to the pet? Well, there's a lot of ways. Then eventually people will learn it, right? Eventually, sometimes your pet will show you with action. For example, I like this, so I eat that all the time, and you see, you give me that and I don't eat it, and that means I don't like this stuff, right? Now you give it to me and I'm very hyped and like walk around and jump and like show you I'm very hyped, then the cat like that stuff because they're hype about it, right? They're happy, right? So when you see the pet goes like very happy, somehow you understand that is called happy, right? When they like jumped around and very hype and well, that is happy, right? Then oh, they like this. Then next time you give them the same thing, right? Very simple, right? You see the cat like that stuff, you give them that stuff again, and wow, it happened again, and you keep doing it, and eventually you understand your pet. Pet don't speak English, right? So they don't understand what you're saying, but you can understand what they mean by that kind of like communication. You understand like body language, and reaction and feelings, that kind of thing. Even they just meow, it actually tells you a message, right? Okay, so that's how we communicate with animals. Now, let's talk about your plants. Let's say you have plants at home. How do you talk to your plants? You can be like, oh, come on, grow, tomato, grow. Why don't you grow? And tomato will not speak to you the same way. Like imagine your tomato going like, because I'm not. It's weird, right? Give me more sunlight. You're like, oh, what? Right? So you got to look for what? You got to communicate with your plant by like physical action. You look at the plants and see what happened, and then you interact with it. Oh, the leaves are kind of dry, you put more water. Now this is like kind of yellow, you put more whatever, right? And then you kind of understand whenever the leaf do that, it means that it needs this. Whenever the plant is like that, it needs this. And then you understand the language and the needs, and the like and dislike of the plants, right? So you kind of learn about what the plant like and dislike, then you give what they like or need or want, and then they will show you in return the result, which is like, oh, the leaves are green, they get bigger, and then it gets stronger, and then everything just look better, and then you got a big fruit, etc. Right? So that's the way we communicate with plants. You talk to the plants using your own language, it doesn't mean the plants understand. But if you talk to it using the language it will understand, such as giving water, doing this and that, the plant will react back to you. Very simple, right? That's how we communicate with the plant. How do you communicate with your chair? The chair don't even have a life. How do you communicate with the chair? Oh, well, you say the chair don't have a life, right? You want to argue and debate and say, oh, how can you communicate with something if it doesn't have a life inside? You're wrong. We communicate with computers, and computers have no life inside. We all know that, right? It's basically a bunch of codes, and then it makes the electronics work, and somehow it just magically displays stuff on your monitor, right? But we communicate with it using its language, right? It has a language. The computer has a language. You use the mouse, you use the keyboard, right? You press shortcuts and type in URLs and stuff like that, and the computer will react back to you. So just like, you try to treat a computer like a baby, and like, you kind of I see people do this, like slap the monitor and say, come on, faster. And then and then you keep like tapping on the keyboard somehow and say, come on, load, load the page. It's not going to load, okay? Come on. It's like people trying to tell the elevator, go up faster, and then they keep pressing the button. You press the button, it doesn't make the elevator open the door like faster, right? The more you... So yeah, sometimes we do silly things, but that's basically the wrong communication method. We can communicate with dead objects using some kind of communication method that it will understand and it will react back to you. Well, let's say your chair, okay? Your chair don't like, for example, we have a four-leg chair, normal kind of four-leg chair, right? And you have a bad habit of somehow like sitting slanted and always like leaning on one leg, like only one leg is supporting the chair. Your chair don't like that. So eventually, if you keep doing that, you will hear it go. What is that? That is the chair leg cracking, and eventually it breaks on you, right? Because it doesn't like that thing. So if you feel that, if you always do that, your chair is going to give you a signal, a sign, like, oh, how come like I hear some sound whenever I do it? It means stop doing it, right? What does the chair like? How will your chair like? How will the chair feel happy? Oh, I always put it back here. That it likes. Your chair maybe like it's a leather chair. It doesn't like direct sunlight. So you put it somewhere that is like in a cool like no sunlight and like more like a shady area. It feels good to touch. Whenever you touch it, you feel happy and it looks nice. So that's how we communicate with dead objects. No, now this is the thing. How does this relate to our lesson? Okay, how do you talk to God? What is a God? How do you talk to the God? And how does God talk back to us? That is the most mysterious thing that most newbie disciples or believers of any religion will have. Because they believe that God is a human being, or like a superior human being, or a superior being that is like a human. So we always treat the God like it is a human, and we believe that it will talk back to us in the form that we use. Like if you say something, you expect the God to answer you back by talking like in your language. So you're like, oh, God, can you please help me do this and that? And I'm like doing this. And then you expect one day that God will be like, hey, John, your wish will come true. That is so weird, right? Like it's one day you hear that God talking to you like that, right? But somehow we expect the God to answer us like that, and it's not like that. So, how does God talk to us? Now you got to understand how nature talk to us, right? Nature affect us, like make us feel something, and then the feeling will push us to have some kind of thought, and then we'll do something right away. We'll react based on the feeling. For example, today it's very hot, right? Nature, the sunlight, is teaching us to like wear less clothing or wear like a short sleeve. So I feel hot, then I will immediately go change into something that is more suitable for today's weather. That's how nature talks to us. It directly gives us a feeling, leads us to some kind of action, and that action will result in whatever nature wants us to do. God also talks to us like that. Let me give you an example, okay? Maybe you are asking for let's say in the morning, right? You go to the altar and burn incense, and you ask the God to help you, protect you, and make sure like the day you're safe and stuff like that. Now you just ask for like safety, protection, that kind of thing, right? In general, somehow you felt like dragging a bit before you go out. Okay, you felt like you want to just drag, and then, or maybe you just need to go to the washroom, and then you went out a few minutes later than you usually do. And somehow, because of that, the result is you missed a car accident. If you went out like 3 minutes early, you might be the one that is crashing. But because you were late, the car in front of you crashed and you didn't crash and you're safe. And then you went to work and everything was fine. This is how God talks to us. It gives you the result. But before you actually got the result, you will actually have the feeling, right? Now, let me tell you some real experience in our lineage that I have experienced and see or saw my disciples go through in the past, but even now, okay? What if the God doesn't like you? What if the God don't like you? Let's say you're a Taoist, right? So you're a Taoist in our lineage cultivating. What if the God is pissed at you? The God don't like you. What will the God do, or how will the God give you the message? What do you think? If the God doesn't like you, okay, let's flip it around. What if the God likes you? Okay, let me ask you, okay, if you're the God, okay, what if there's this kid that always come over, right? So this kid is like very nice, very smart, and you love this kid so much. So what will you do if you like the kids a lot? Oh, well, I will always want the kid to come, right? So I will do something to make it feel it always want to be with me, right? See? Your son, your little baby son, don't speak any language yet. They didn't learn to speak yet. They like this little doll. They will always want to stick around the doll, right? You like someone, you always want to be around them, right? Okay, so let's talk about the God. If the God likes you, okay, or we can say if the Tao likes you, okay, whatever you want to use that word, the God likes you, the God will want you to be around. You will immediately and directly have the feeling. And this feeling is, I really want to be with the Tao. I really want to stick around the lineage, the people, the God. I want to stick around the altar. And you want, it's a feeling, right? It's a feeling. So that feeling kicks in. You will believe and you will think that it is yourself liking it, loving it, and want it and stick around it. Like, I just want to do that myself. And you know what? It's not yourself. It is actually the God giving you that feeling, because God's energy is a pre-heaven energy. Pre-heaven energy is the same type of energy that your heart, that the energy heart is like. So when the God gives you the message, it goes directly into your heart and then blend with your heart's energy, and it tunes that heart to feel that way. You feel you like to stick around. You want to be around, right? And you will like, oh, I'm so addicted to it. You know, I really want this. You know, when people like really like a song, they get like very addicted to it, and they have to like keep playing it, keep listening to it. I cannot be without it. You know, like that kind of feeling. Okay. If the God likes you, you will feel more and more and more glued to it. It's a good thing. Why? Because you're glued to the God. That means you are very close to the God, right? So the God can always give you the protection, always want to, like, you know, give you help, right? Whatever help you want. Because you stick to the God, you're like together, you know, with the God can help you. So if the God likes you, it will want you to stick around, and you will eventually just feel like sticking around. Okay. Now let's flip it around now. What if the God don't like you? If the God shows you that they're pissed at you, they don't want you around, you know? They don't want you around. So as a result, you can observe, right? This disciple or this believer will lose faith in the God. It's a direct, you can say like a symptom. Okay, so a lot of people actually like they have that feeling, and immediately when I see it, I knew what's happening already, because it's basically the God don't like them, and it will automatically make them have these kind of things happen, which is like they will want to detach. They will want to have less time sticking to the God. They will avoid and they will hide from the God, and they don't want the God to be around. Like saying, oh, I feel like I need some more private space. I need more like my own time. I need my own time, my own, right? You don't want to be with the God during that time. I feel that God is like, you know, always around me and is like bothering me. It's like the God is monitoring me, like I'm in a prison, you know, like I'm being overwatched by things and always, you know, feel like I'm doing something wrong. You know what? The God is actually telling you that. It's the God telling you that message. But instead of like knowing that this is actually a message from the God, you took it as it is your own feeling. And then you will act like that. You will act like you want to stay away from it. And the first thing I see is like people will want to, for example, in our lineage, people go online every day. Line is the app, okay, the chat app. So they go online every day and talk, right? So eventually you see this person like going less and less and less online, and they will eventually talk less and less and less, and eventually they fade out and disappear. So eventually, right? And all these symptoms are very much because the God are pissed at them. And well, if this actually happened to you, if you are like having this kind of symptom one day, you know, you should not like go straight to thinking that this is myself, right? Because it's wrong. It's not even supposed to happen, okay? It's very wrong. So if that actually happened to you, the first thing you should do is stop the thinking part and go directly to your altar and like apologize to the God and make the God happy again, because you have not been making God happy, or you have been doing something that makes the God not happy. The God is showing you by telling you the message, and the message went to you, but you don't listen and you act up based on the message, and that is going to cause, you know, that big trouble. Now, the God talks to us by giving us, you know, that their powers, and the powers go to your heart and it affects your feeling. It's very dangerous for a newbie to not realize that the God is actually telling them something, right? If the newbie don't realize that God is actually telling them this message, they will just act based on that. And maybe it's like, okay, on day one, they get ordained, they get initiated, and they're like very hyped. And then day two, day three, if the God is like telling them, I don't like what you're doing, right? And then eventually they just act based on that and think that I don't like whatever I'm doing right now. Then immediately they will lose interest, they will lose faith, and they will not want to continue. And that's how a lot of newbie gave up, because they don't get the message, or they got the message, but they don't know it is like, what you need to do when you face these kind of feelings, right? So your God already talked to you. That's how the God talked to you, right? The God talked to you by giving you that feeling, leading you to, you see, that's wrong. Change it, do something about it, right? You got to be aware of these messages. It's very hard to distinguish between yourself and the God telling you, because the God's message is like it's go right into your heart. So it's your heart that actually project these kind of feelings, and you will feel like it is yourself because it's your own heart, right? It's your own heart giving out the feeling. So it feels like yourself, but it's actually not yourself. So how to deal with that? How to avoid being like, those people who fall, at that point, you just like go downfall because you cannot pick up again. How to deal with that is, well, remember, one of our basic teaching is that there are like commandments, and there are some like basic rules, right? When you enter the lineage, we have some basic commandments and like rules that you follow, and they're all in the book, right? We put them all in the book. So always stick to those things and read about those things. So if you stick to them and keep trying to improve based on those rules, you will never go wrong. That is the thing you need to keep in mind. If you don't follow those things, you will just keep going the wrong way, and eventually it's like you're just wasting your time, because every time you like the God don't like this, don't like that, and then you don't change, well, it's like, why are you even being a Taoist, right? The God is teaching you. The God teach all the disciples, but the way the God teach is using a language that you, as a disciple, need to learn to read. It's like you're using a computer, right? The computer gives you messages, like those, error codes and things like that, right? You need to be the one learning to read them, not the other way around. So you have to understand that now when you just like ordain, you don't understand the language. It's like a newbie using a computer. They open the browser and then they see that like 404, the cannot find the page or whatever error message. You don't understand what that means, right? But eventually, if you learned it, you know what that means, and you check your internet connection and then you get the web page again, right? So you got to learn how to read the God's message. Now, before you actually learn to read it, you need to be aware of what is right and what is wrong. And that is why there is a bunch of rules and commandments for you. You look at those things and you see, am I actually doing it? If I am not doing these things, you must be going the wrong way. So as you tune yourself to do better, to follow those commandments, or to learn more about those commandments and then follow them, as you keep doing that, you will see that God will also teach you and give you a feedback. It will make you love the Tao even more, because the God is loving you more. So you feel like, I want to stick around the Tao more. I feel like I'm doing the right thing. It's actually the God telling you, you're doing the right thing. I want you to be here with me more. I want you to stick around me more. That's what the God is telling you. right? The God is telling you a message by giving you that feeling directly. So if you feel like this is actually like the God feel that for you. But if you feel this is, it could be like the God feel this is about you, right? It's you get what I mean, okay? So if you, it's kind of like a mirror, okay? I feel like, for example, I feel like the God is betraying me or the God is not on my side. You know, you kind of turned it around and the message is like flipped. So the God is feeling like you are betraying the God. Wow. Eye-opening, right? So if you ever got to a stage where you feel like I feel like the religion is not on my side. I'm kind of like being, like pinpoint or attacked or offended. Some people have this issue, right? I have seen many newbies up to a point they will feel like I feel I got offended when I got like I got for example, some newbies that when I, like me here, teach them stuff, okay, they feel like they got attacked, bullied, or offended because I was like teaching them and pointing out their problems, right? And then, well, first of all, wait a minute. You are here to learn. What's the problem with me telling you that you're wrong, right? If you're right, you don't need to learn, right? So you got to know, why am I teaching you? I'm here to teach you for your good. But if you have the feeling of, whenever I go online and talk to you, I feel like you're not on my side, I got affected and I got like attacked and whatever. You know what? The God is actually telling you, you're not respectful enough for the God, and the God feel like you are always not on the God side, not on the same team with the God. You are being like on your own or maybe with some other things, and you feel like you're not on the same boat with the God. And that is a big problem because you are basically on the edge of betrayal. What is betraying? What is loyalty? When loyalty is lost, you basically betray. Betray is like you turn against someone, or you're like, for example, you betray your wife. So basically, if you're not betraying your wife, okay, you should be on the same boat with your wife. So whatever your wife, is like feeling, you are like on the same side with her, supporting her, right? But if you're on the other side, like your wife is like that, and you're like on the other side, right? Your wife will feel that you're not on the same boat, and you're like a betrayer already. So it's not about like, oh, no problem. Like you like pineapple, I don't like pineapple. We're not on the same team. It's kind of really simple like that. So what if your wife, let's say your wife likes durian and you don't like durian. Okay, durian, the fruit, right? It smells a lot, but it's really tasty. So your wife likes durian, you don't like durian. If that happens, your wife will feel like, oh, you're not on the same boat with me. You're really like not a same team, right? Immediately, it feels like you're kind of distant. So what would you do if you really, like kind of don't want to hurt your wife? What will you do? You will try your best to enjoy the durian with her, right? You will try to like make it happen. Maybe learn to eat it, or maybe she eat durian and you eat something with the durian, or be around her with it. Like enjoy the time with her while she's eating it. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, so that makes her feel that you're on the same boat, supporting her, instead of like just saying, you weird, you eat that kind of fruit, you're crazy. If you say that, you're already betraying. You're like not supporting. You're telling her that, you're crazy, you're not the same type, and whatever. It hurts, right? These kind of things hurt. So if you and the God, think about it, you and the God, okay, it's like one same boat. You guys are on the same team, okay? You and the God on the same team, and you feel like it is weird going like this. Like for example, let's say burn incense, okay? So we Taoists, we burn incense every day, and then suddenly you feel like it's so weird to burn incense. Oh, the incense is like so smoky, and it's like making everywhere dirty and whatever. You say that kind of thing, you're already betraying. I mean, look, the God have this culture. You have to blend in with the culture. If you don't want to blend in with the culture and you feel like it's something else and you're not part of it, you're already like treating yourself as an outsider. And I always hear this kind of thing that people say when they have this issue. When they talk to me, they will say, "Your lineage is like this." Your. It's like they're not in the lineage. Okay, they have ordained, they entered the lineage, and then they start to say, "Your lineage have this rule." When I hear this, it's already automatically feel like this guy is going to be gone soon. How could you say that? Like you married to your wife, and then you tell your wife, "Your family has a big problem." What do you mean, your family? I mean, my family. What do you mean? You tell your wife, "Your family." And then you kind of want to refer to your wife and their mother and father, right? But you are married. It's supposed to be like the same family. But when you speak like your family, that means you and her is already having some gap right there. It's already a distance right there. It is not right. So when that happens in the religion, the God is going to tell you, you know what? You're betraying. And you will feel that you got betrayed by the God or the religion, or maybe you feel like like something like tells you that the religion and you is not on the same team, kind of thing, right? It's a hint. You need to get it, and then eventually you see you have done something wrong that God keeps telling you, and if you don't fix it, you know what? Eventually, the fruit, the end result is you'll be out of the religion. You will quit it. The God will kick you out, but by like giving you the result, because you listen to the message and you don't really make changes. So what happened is the God will kick you out, and eventually, because like think about it, if you have to like flip it, like the message is kind of flipped, right? So if the God needs to kick you out, you will be kicking yourself out. It's kind of like your boss want to fire you, but the result is you fire yourself. So you will go to the boss and say, "I don't want to work anymore," and then you want to like fire yourself, right? But in this like religious stuff, when the God wants to kick you out, you will kick yourself out. You will like say, "I want to withdraw from the religion." That's what happened when the God is telling you the message. It is actually a common thing. Like I have seen it a lot, and people don't get it. Even the senior ones, they could be like in this kind of trap and they don't get it, and then they will fall into that kind of hurdle. And it's really hard when you're stubborn, because you will fall into that trap thinking that it's actually your own feeling, and you forgot that God talks to you by giving you that feeling, and it's actually the God's feeling like that on you, and you forgot to flip the message. So yeah, whenever you have that feeling and you think about it, right, you got to flip it around, and then the God will be like the God's feeling on you, not you on the God. And wow, it can really save someone's life, if they actually find out the message and actually do something about it. Their feeling can change right away. Like immediately you feel like so good again suddenly, right? Because the God likes you again. So yeah, that is something that a lot of people don't know, how God talk to us. They talk with that pre-heaven energy. They beam that pre-heaven energy to us, and the pre-heaven energy goes to our energy body and goes straight to the heart. So it gives you the feeling, right? Now, can you actually learn to read that feeling? Well, for normal people, I would say it's not easy, because you might not be able to differentiate between which is actually yourself and which is actually the God, right? So sometimes you will feel like it's a God, but actually somehow it turns out it's yourself. So it's kind of confusing for normal people, right? So how to handle the situation? If you're like a newbie in our lineage, right? You heard or you felt and you think that it is the God's message. How do you know? Well, I would say the first thing, if you have question like that, the best thing to do is ask me, and so I can find out for you. But if you're like, in a situation where you cannot reach me yet, then there goes the divination tools. There are tools on the altar for talking with the God. So if you ask the God a question and you toss that stuff, right, the tool will show you a result, and it will show you like, I did a yes or no and so on. There's many ways that we have in the lineage for confirming something with the God. And that is what you can use to actually confirm if that message is the God's message or it is just yourself. You can actually use that to ask. But you know what? Sometimes an other message could come in. Some like naughty disciples or the disciples that have been doing very bad and that God don't like them already, right? You will feel like this. One thought will kick in, and it's like, maybe the magic doesn't really work. Maybe it's like, it's just a possibility thing, right? I could be like tossing this a little bit more times and I can get the yes, like that kind of feeling, right? When that kicks in, you know what? Flip the message around. So the God is telling you, right, your magic is not going to work. And you can try to toss a few more times to just get the yes, because the God feels like you don't believe the God on the first run. So you will just try to ask more ways to make it work. It's like, is it a yes? And you keep tossing the coin, and then eventually you get a yes, right? So the God is saying that you are that type. You don't have enough faith in me so that your magic is not working. You can try to keep tossing that coin until you get a yes, because I'm pissed already. I don't even want to answer you. That can happen. So what happens if that happens to you? What if you're in that stage? Well, again, that's why you need a master. Right? That's why you need a master to teach you. Because in case of that, anything wrong happen, your master is there to save you. He will be there to help you get the answers and also help you to solve that problem because of the experience. And also the master always has a great responsibility to be like, let's say, disciples, okay? They can do whatever they want, okay? Like, you can be good or bad disciples, right? But if you're a master, you should have the responsibility. It's like you're a soldier, right? You cannot just do whatever you want, right? You're a soldier. You put on the uniform. You cannot like go out and, pretend to be a punk and then like pick on people and bully them, right? You can't do that. Even when you say stuff in front of the camera or post something on YouTube, you cannot just say whatever you want. There are things that you cannot do or you have to do because you're such a whatever special person. As a master, we also have our rules and, things and responsibility that ensure that we are always, always like not going the bad side and always going the good side, because we follow those rules strictly, and that allows us to always be, the good boy in front of the God. And so if the disciples below have any issue, we can always solve their problem instead of like we already have problem ourselves, right? So, so that is something that is very important. Now, talking about like learning Taoism, a lot of Westerners believe that you can learn Taoism by yourself and by reading books, and I'm like totally against that, because yeah, you can read books, but most of them are junks. And also the thing is like, you don't have a master around. What if you made a mistake? What if you get it wrong? Like you interpret this way, and you could say, oh yeah, it could be like interpreted in many ways. But what if your way is wrong? Now, there's a lot of like people out there who have issue when they are being told that they're wrong. They don't like being told they're wrong. So that is why a lot of those like new agey stuff is like, oh, everything is right. There's no wrong. And you know what? Let me tell you, no, there's a lot of wrongs in this world. There's a lot of wrongs. And that is why people bang into nails. People bang into problems. There's a lot of wrongs. Even walking, there's a lot of wrong way to walk. There's a lot of wrong way to sit. You don't believe me? Look at YouTube. People talk about sitting posture, how to sit properly so that you don't get pain. So can you sit any way you want just because you feel like it? And there's like no wrong or only like right way to sit? Of course not. And sitting is so simple. Everyone sit. Like even in school, no one talks about how to sit, right? Like they don't have a lesson about it. But you know what? Once you get into the subject, like, if you're a doctor, you need to learn how to sit properly because of the anatomy, how the bone and whatever, all that. And there's a lot of knowledge inside. So I would say, like, if you are one of those who bang into Taoism in the Western world, and you believe that, like you can interpret things any way you want, I can tell you that you already went the wrong way. That is already the biggest mistake you have made. Because even for me, teaching my disciples, and I have like close communication with them all the time, a lot of them went wrong. Like if I don't check up on them over like 2 weeks, what they're doing could be wrong already. How could you even learn on your own by reading a book or whatever and not go wrong just walking by yourself? It's impossible. So yeah, you need a master to learn Taoism or any religion or any magic art, because it is something that you need that special person who knows what they're doing and can correct you and assist you and guide you the right way. So just like I said, if you have a message from the God, if I'm not around to teach you, how can you know what the message is? Or like, how can you even realize there's a message waiting for you? You might not even realize that it's a message. And I need to be there to be the bad guy, to scream at you and say, hey, you know what? Stop, bad boy. You have been doing something wrong. The God is telling you stuff, you're like doing this wrong. And then, okay, yeah, I know it feels bad, being like kind of criticized and being like, said you're wrong. And it feels bad, right? But think about it. If you don't go through that stage of being told you're wrong and you keep correcting yourself, you will never learn. You will never get better, right? So don't be a coward and scared of being told that you're wrong. And I can tell you that I have seen a lot of like failed disciples who are failing because they have issue taking the teachings, saying that, you did this wrong and the God is pissed at you. They just don't want to accept the failure and then learn from there, because sometimes people think that, oh, I'm like an adult already, I don't need people to tell me what to do, and eventually you see these people will fail. It's a big problem. I remember like this year I got a disciple, and the disciple's gone already. She was like telling me this, I'm an adult, I know I'm a very respectful person, I know what respect is, like that kind of thing, very, very, quote, quote, confident. I was teaching her virtue. I told her, you know what, you are having issue with your virtue. You have to empty your cup to learn. And she keep telling me that she know what she's talking about and she know this and that. And, within 2 weeks, she's gone. I was like, wow, 2 weeks. Didn't break the record yet, okay? Like, she's not the fastest one. But yeah, you see, if you have issue opening up yourself and listen to your master teaching you stuff, then you will have problems. Even in school, you don't want to listen to the teacher, right? You will have problems. At work, you don't want to listen to the boss telling you what to do. You will have problems. It's just a common issue, right? Working. Let's say you work as a chef or something, right? And there's this boss telling you, don't cook the pizza like this. And then you keep cooking it the way you want. Eventually you get fired, right? You don't want to listen. So you don't want to be told you're wrong. You insist in your own way. Well, you can go open your own shop, right? But the boss is going to fire you. So same thing with any religion, not just my lineage right here, not here, everywhere. If you want to know, did God actually talk to you, or is this a message or whatever, if you have a question, go seek help from your upper, whoever that is responsible for teaching you, right? That is the most important thing. Just getting into a religion and being a believer is like nothing. Like no one is there to teach you. But being a disciple is a very different thing. It's like you have a master there to guide you, teach you, and offer you help. Whenever you're like in trouble, you get saved by the master, and that is very important. That is a big responsibility. And I think a lot of people don't realize that because, like me being a master, right? My disciple have issue. For example, they got spiritual attack or whatever, right? I have to be there to save them right on the spot. I can't be like, oh, you know what, it's okay, just drink more water. I can't do that. They have problems. Like your kids have problems. Your kids are like, maybe your kids are crying. Like they're like starving. You need to deal with it. You cannot just escape from it, right? You cannot say, oh, you know what, just see me next week. You cannot do that. When disciples have issue, you need to be there right away and fix the problem that day. Not like find me on weekend. No, not like that. When my disciple have issue, someone said, oh, I just encountered this. Immediately, I'm there right away fixing the problem to make sure that it doesn't get dragged overnight. That's what a master is about. And a lot of people don't realize the importance of having a master. They think that a master is like someone who teach you stuff, give you the content. Just give me the PDF. I'm like, it's not about the content. It's about the wisdom and the power that the master have cultivated that you don't have. As a newbie, you don't have these things. You cannot just buy it. It's something inside me that I have cultivated for many years. You cannot buy it. It's not like a video that you can download or a book that you can just read. It's not. It's like someone have life experience. You cannot buy a book. And also when you have problem, that person have the love and care for you so that they will care about you and fix your problem. But this comes like, there's always like a cost. You want the love and care from your master, you need to also have the respect and faith for the master as well. Right? If you don't believe in your master and don't listen to the master, then of course the master is like, oh, whatever, you can do whatever you want. Like I have no feeling for you. So in order to you want the master to give you that care and love, you need to make the master happy and make sure that he likes you. So very much like a two-way love thing, right? You make the master like you, the master will give you the love you want. So basically, that is why you must have a master to teach you. So remember, if you are like trying to learn any kind of religion or magic art, or you want to learn Taoist magic, make sure you really need a good master who actually care about the disciples, teaching the disciples stuff. Not just teaching, but when you have problems, he is always here to solve your problem. That is very important. If the master is like, oh, he's like very busy, always on business trip, don't learn from that master. A lot of famous ones, they only care about like opening seminar, business trip, and all that kind of promotion stuff. They have no time for you. And you know that you're not going to get anything out of that. I saw a lot of that from China, the famous one. Most of the stuff they do is like they accept a bunch of disciples and then they take pictures of you, go back with your certificate, and now there you go. You are like a new master, whatever, after that trip. It's a lot of like that, right? It's really a joke, but that's what it is about. You pay for the cert and you pay to get a name, and that's it. You don't even get anything. At the end of the day, there's no care, no teaching, nothing. You just you get the same package as everyone, and you become a marketing tool. Okay, you become like a money tree, a marketing tool for that master. But a real master should be there always to help you solve your problem, give you all that love and care, and not just like focusing on making money and all that stuff, right? So pay attention. Anyway, if you are interested in these kind of things and really want to learn Taoist magic and actually touch the real magic, well, if you cannot find anywhere, you can consider trying out to like learn from here. We teach online with the Zoom lesson and also with Line, the real-time chat app, just like WhatsApp, whatever, like that kind of app Okay, so we teach through real communication, like talking, right? And if you want to try learning like that, you will be very happy and fulfilled because this is like one of the best ways you can find online right now. So yeah, there you go. Okay. Hope I actually solved the problem for a lot of you guys who are still kind of wondering how God talked to us. Just to recap a little bit, God talked to us because now it is the form of pre-heaven energies or beings. So it talks to us using that energy, and that energy goes to us. It will go right to the heart and create a feeling. So you will feel that as if you're the God. So if the God don't like you, you feel you don't like the God. So you flip the message around, then you will get what the God is actually saying. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, don't fall into traps though, because there's a lot of time where like people just think that the message is like that, and they don't know how to confirm. Then it becomes like you got something going on in your head, and you kind of fool yourself. So there you go. It's very important to have a master around to help you. But anyway, so at least you get the idea, right? God does talk to us all the time, even to the newbies who just ordained that God will also talk to you. So for those of you who are in my lineage, if you wonder, did God talk to me? Let me tell you, the first day you ordained, that God will already start talking to you. You know the heart spell, that God will give you feedback already, just that you don't know yet, right? You don't realize it yet. So eventually you will know. Anyway, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.